Welcome back to The Watch, and just checked out Aliens Romulus. This is an interesting film because it wasn't bad, okay? I enjoyed it, yet at the same time, it was pretty run-of-the-mill, standard, predictable kind of stuff. Nothing particularly crazy happens, though they do try and do something a little different, yet it's similar type of, different type of alien kind of thing that they've done in the past. So, I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but overall, it's a pretty formulaic kind of generic alien film, yet there's nothing particularly offensive about it, really. It doesn't have any agenda, woke crap girl boss moments or anything like that. It's a pretty harmless, standard, enjoyable film if you enjoy this type of thing. But I guess there wasn't anything particularly intriguing to really suck me in. So your mileage may vary in terms of how much you would enjoy it. If you're a big fan of the Alien franchise, you probably might enjoy some of it. There are some interesting Easter egg kind of moments, callback moments, connection things. There's even like a connection to Prometheus, which, depending on how you feel about those films, that might not be a great thing. So, that's kind of the overall take. I would probably give this, maybe a 7 out of 10. If it just on the core basic formulaic nature, it's not really offensive. It's got no huge glaring plot holes that breaks the film. So, but I'll probably, just for my own enjoyment, like more of a 6 out of 10 experience for me. So, as I mentioned, your mileage may vary. I'm going into spoilers just to discuss some of the finer points. I don't think it's going to be too big of a detailed review here because there's not massive amounts to really sink my teeth into with things that blew me away or things that totally I felt were really dumb. I have some questions here and there, but like I said, overall, it's a pretty inoffensive film. And you might really like it, might not. Okay, so that's your warning, spoilers, and I'll give you some summary of the film and some of the events that happen, questions, and whatnot. And maybe that might, adjust my score as I dive into it with you. So, I think the initial premise mostly works. They don't explain a lot of it, and that could help it, because if they try and explain it, they could end up inadvertently making plot holes about why are so many people locked into essentially slave labor for the Weldon Corp. And the main character thinks that their contract is up, and then it's been just extended, like for double, basically. And they have to be on the planet for another 5 to 6 years in horrible conditions where people are dying and they're getting disease breakouts and all this stuff. It's on a planet that is like almost a hellscape. The sun never shines on it. It's got natural, like hailstorms, people are dying, and all this stuff. It's like as horrible a circumstance that you could be in to try and get you to sympathize to the main character. And it makes me wonder, like how realistic is this kind of setup? And maybe it would be, because if the company controls everything and basically has a monopoly over people arriving and leaving the planet, perhaps a really corrupt dystopian kind of setup could justify that setting. And she basically finds out that she's going to be locked onto the planet. And she's kind of stuffed. I probably should mention this element in the non-spoiler section, but we're a bit loose in this review here. Some of the characters, I wasn't really attached to the main character. She didn't really have too much distinctive things to make her really stand out. To me, she wasn't as good as like Ripley, who I feel Ripley had a bit more of a personality, and also had some more endearing elements with her kind of maternal nature wanting to protect Newt. They tried to kind of do that in this film with her relationship, and I don't even remember her name, with a synthetic, Andy. Now, Andy, to me, it was by far the most enjoyable element of the film. and he became quite enjoyable when he gets an upgrade and he becomes a lot smarter and dynamic. But then, because he's working against them, she has to take away the upgrade, so he'll be on her side again. He becomes a bit of a soppy idiot, and less interesting as well. I was kind of hoping that he could have maintained his intelligence and get quite a cool upgrade there that could have kept him dynamic and competent and interesting. And look, he was still doing things to help her and save her life and stuff, but he wasn't as assertive and competent as he was before. But overall, he was the best character in the film, and the actor did a phenomenal job, showing the vast changes in kind of disposition when he gets the upgrade and not. All the other characters, didn't really care too much about them, and that weakens the film a bit. And there were a number of times where it almost got interesting. Like, they introduced the, I don't know, like primordial ooze kind of stuff that's from the Prometheus series. Basically, the corporation has backwards engineered it, and they believe that it can create a greater form of human. Okay, that is interesting. I was wondering if are they going to kind of go superhuman and have someone inject this stuff, and then they're actually going to start fighting the aliens and they become immune to the poison and they can actually go a bit toe to toe and still struggle and stuff like that. And that's kind of interesting. I was like, okay, it would be kind of cool to see the main character get some superpowers, alien-like superpowers, and she could become the alien hunter and trying to take down the Weldon Corporation, and it springboards off onto this kind of crusade to destroy all the xenomorphs and the Weldon Corporation for the abuse and stuff like that, and she has some special abilities. And I'd be fully on board with that. And it wouldn't be like Girl Boss or anything, because it's justified with she's got superpowers now. They didn't do that. They just kind of used it to create another different type of xenomorph. Well, we've definitely never seen anything like that before. Aliens 4, for instance, different type of human-like xenomorph. Oh, so that's what I mean. It's kind of a little generic. Do you know what I mean? And it felt like they were trying to recapture some of the magic of the first film. Female protagonist, fighting for their life against one and then multiple xenomorphs and kind of stuff, and has a person that they're particularly attached to, trying to help and save. That's aliens, I guess. They're help and save Newt type of stuff. But because Andy isn't as vulnerable as Newt was, and you don't have strong instincts to see someone get protected like an innocent child, it doesn't have a strong emotional kind of weight to it, because there is a moment where the main character girl, she goes back to save his life, risking her own life, and it's like, it just doesn't have as much emotional weight. He's an artificial life form. Is he even alive? And I get what they were trying to go for, and part of it is nice to have a brother-sister kind of relationship, but you don't really even know how emotional this android is. All he has is a directive to help out her, and it was basically I forget what it was, but do things that help her, basically. It's kind of the directive. And it's based off of an order, not something that's manifesting like actual intelligence where he has emotion and cares for her and stuff like that. And so I didn't really get invested in that relationship as a result. And so I didn't get a kind of a thrill or a wow moment or feel that it was really heroic that she goes back to save him. And so there are moments like that where this film honestly just misses certain opportunities to really grab my interest, or times where it could have had more emotional weight because of kind of the structure and the characters. And so I'm probably sitting more on a 6 out of 10 now as I'm reflecting on all of this. And so she wants to get off the planet. She can't. And some of her friends discover that there is a ship in orbit that should have cryogenic pods, because it seems like for some reason, they have access to cargo ships that can go into orbit and not. And I'm assuming that's part of their job, that's there to transfer the cargo to ships in orbit. And I was thinking, okay, so these ships don't have interstellar capacity. And they can't get access to those. But no, it turns out this cargo ship thing kind of can fly between systems. The only issue, it doesn't have cryo sleep pods. And they need that, and they're going to go to the ship to steal the cryosleep pods, then use the cargo ship that doesn't seem to have much security, just going hijacking it. And I guess Wayland Tech just allows them access to the cargo ships, because they feel like, well, if you're trying to escape, you're just going to die of old age. And so I'm not completely sold on them just having, hijacking the ship without any contest. But okay, that's the premise. And they only found out about this ship because of a distress call that only the Friends intercepted. And they particularly want her help, not really because of her, but because of her synthetic brother, friend person, that can get access to the ship as a Wayland Corporation synthetic, that he can just put his finger in the terminal and he can get access to the computers. That I don't mind. I reckon there's some good little plot points that they're laying in place and connecting. And there were a couple of setups and payoffs that I felt worked well enough, where they did indicate it and justify it enough. The big thing is the gravity purges, where they get to the ship, that there's no gravity, but there are periodic bursts of gravity that triggers, right? And they do it that it needs to cycle to do this, otherwise the ship would blow up or something like that. But basically it's an automatic function to vent energy or to keep the gravity generators primed or something like that, right? But that actually, I can accept that as a plot device based in a sci-fi setting, that when gravity is off, there are general gravity purges. So that is actually decent enough setup, because the gravity purges come into play later in the plot, where the reason why the ship basically has been derelict and stuff like that, they were forced to kill one of the xenomorphs, because it's actually a research space station essentially, and when they killed it, the acid burnt through all the floors and then made a breach and everyone died. And so they're saying that basically there's only like a couple of floors on the ship. But the thing is, there's massive elevators in the ship. And so we've seen a small pool of acid, right, burn through a decent number of floors, but stop. That happened in Aliens 1. Alien, I guess. Where they're kind of saying that there's a decompression on each level. I think there was that line in there to try and justify this. So at least they're attempting to try and justify it, but it just doesn't make sense with why you would design a ship that way. And they showed the ship has a very large kind of, height to it. And so are they on the lowest floor? And if they shoot the aliens, acid will burn through. And when they said that, I was thinking, could they just turn off the gravity then and shoot them if they have access to guns? That was a literal thought I had. That ends up being a plot device where it's like a revelation to her in a crucial moment that she wants to shoot them, but that would cause decompression because the acid would burn through the thing. She's like, I'll turn off the gravity. But she's in this kind of random hallway with a terminal, and I wasn't convinced that would this location have access to shut off gravity on the entire station? That one didn't really make sense, but she could. She shuts off gravity and then blasts all the aliens. And when it comes to guns, the aliens just get murked. Okay, no contest anymore. And the gun has an automatic aiming feature now. And look, I think sci-fi, I could accept the automatic aiming feature. But the aliens don't really try and hide and run away based on the threat. They just decide to all run in to the bullets and get killed. Maybe because they're so aggressive, they're thinking one will get through because they get close sometimes, but then the automatic aiming takes them out. So instead of thinking like this is such a cool wow moment, I was starting to wonder, is this making sense? Why the aliens just throwing themselves to be cannon fodder? I guess, is it the nature? I just had those questions, but that was one of the bigger action set piece moments of the film. And then there's like tense thing because there's acid everywhere now, and it's on a corridor that leads to the elevator that's going to take her to the docking bay to escape the station. And so she has to, like, in zero gravity go through, but the gravity purges are about to turn on and the acid might fall on her. And so they use the gravity purges well enough to create conflict and suspense. And I thought they justified that, adequately. I think there was like one or two other kind of basically plot devices that they set up, and they do actually remain consistent with it. They have a cryo freezing gun thing, and that's a bit consistent with the fuel that the cryopods work on, because someone gets his hand almost frozen off, and things like that. They establish that, the smaller xenomorph bug, implanting kind of things, they don't have eyes, but they see through heat detection and other things. And I was like, okay, so they're kind of confirming xenomorphs can detect heat. There's a moment when another character, this is the pregnant girl, she falls off, a ledge, she gets a bit knocked out, and a xenomorph walks past her, and I think they were justifying it because she falls under, I don't know, some type of vent or pipe or something that ends up spraying cold water all over her. And are they trying to say that's lowered her temperature so the xenomorph didn't detect her? Maybe. But if they're paying attention to that and that is the justification, it's like, okay, they seem to be trying to be consistent with the rules that they are establishing within this film, the universe. It's like, okay. But I do wonder, and this is a question I had about how consistent are they being with the other Alien films? To me, it felt like the alien impregnation and the growth of the aliens to full size took it's just way too quick. There's a moment where the special alien, the human alien hybrid, grows to full size in like a couple of seconds, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Like, that was fast. Holy crap. And I was like, that was the question. I was like, that doesn't seem consistent, really. Are they just saying that these ones now grow really fast as opposed to other ones? But overall, these are really kind of minor questions, if you could even call them criticisms. They're not huge breaking things. And granted, I haven't sat down to study the entire plot to see if something really breaks down. But overall, from a cursory kind of just watch, the plot seemed to progress consistently enough, dare I say. Because they get to the station, right? And the gravity purges thing is an issue. They turn on the gravity. The cryopods don't have enough fuel. They need to get the fuel from... they can detect, where the fuel is with some type of sensor. The fuel is actually keeping the alien bugs in cryosleep. And when they... This one kind of didn't make sense because there was multiple fuel canisters. And by removing one, it sets off an alert where... And I was wondering, are they saying that the aliens are awaking because the fuel was taken? But there was other fuels in the thing which would keep the... It was just an alert because a alarm does go off. Is it the procedure in the alarm to literally wake up the aliens that would then try and murder every single human on the thing? That part didn't really make sense. There's a bit of an Easter egg in the sense that they come across a synthetic that you might recognize. Is the synthetic... Well, the... deep faking thing that they try to do, or de-aging or whatever, to make him look like the synthetic from the first movie. It's the same model, all right? Wasn't the best. There was a couple of angles and scenes where it did look convincing, but nearly in every other one it didn't. When it's on a screen, it's blurry, and so that's easier to mask. But a lot of the close-ups, that face whatever replacement thing that they did not look great. But anyway, he's back again. He's the more nefarious one that will do anything for the company. And he basically tries to manipulate Andy, the good synthetic, but when he gets the upgrade, which they take from the bad synthetics chip or whatever, Andy gets on board, and then so they start to try and subvert the thing, because the bad synthetic guy wants them to find what he was working on and studying, which is basically backwards engineering the primordial black ooze stuff that we saw in the Prometheus movies that triggers crazy mutation, evolution, creation of aliens, all the above weirdness. And because they kind of get cut off getting back to the ship. The ship's in a new location because it gets disconnected by process of events, because when they took the cryo thing out and the alien middle bugs get free, it does impregnate one of the people, and of course she tries to escape on their ship. As it started to break out, they accidentally hit a controller, which knocks the cargo ship to hit the main ship and then land in a cargo bay, and now it's in a level location that they have to travel to get to. And the synthetic friend guy, now that he gets kind of corrupted by the bad synthetic, will only help them if they go and get the primordial ooze to protect it, to give to the company, all that stuff. So that's kind of the plot, right? And then they have to avoid aliens as they go. When they get to the other part of the lab, that's where they get a gun. And then they need to get to the escape pod. And the ooze thing, like I said, it was a bit of a missed opportunity, because this is the ooze stuff that could potentially have made someone a superhuman. And there's a girl there that is pregnant, not heavily. But when they mentioned she was pregnant, I was like, well, that's not there by accident. That's obviously going to be coming. And I kind of first thought that it was there for just sympathy. And they do play on that a bit, because when one of the male, characters in there finds out she's pregnant, he kind of reacts like, that's probably his child, and he's very protective of her. And that actually worked well. He doesn't survive. He dies. But the pregnant girl is there with them, and she's injured because the xenomorph does eventually capture her, but doesn't put an alien thing in her. And they explain it because she's too weak and lost too much blood. And I was like, I guess if you need some measure of vitality to incubate the alien, maybe, I guess they wouldn't, do the face sucking on them to put the alien in if they're both going to die. But then why did the alien take her in and cocoon her? As a trap to lure them? Maybe. Because when they do find her, she's weak, she still has the wound, and they mention that this ooze stuff, because they show it being tested on a rat, that they crushed a rat, but then the rat regenerated completely from being crushed because of the ooze. When they left, they didn't see the second part of the thing, which is the rat exploded because of the ooze stuff, and then it grew into this kind of growth thing, indicating that's probably not the best. So they decide not to inject her with the ooze, and that's where I was wondering, like, could they kind of give her the superpower side of thing? That could have been cool. I could have been on board with that, but they don't. Instead, they try to get to the elevator, which was going to take them to the escape pod, the cargo ship, which they can escape on. But they get stopped by aliens, and the good synthetic guy, Andy, gets knocked down, and he has this glitch where he gets knocked down where he can't move and he needs to be reset. Set up and payoff. They showed that at the beginning of the film, and so that happening there was actually well justified. So I got to give the film credit in this part. I think they do handle setups and payoffs consistently, and it doesn't come out like Deus Ex Machina. They do actually foreshadow the things. So the seizure or the lockdown thing that the good Andy gets is well set up. Same with the gravity purges. And so the girls just managed to get on the elevator, and on halfway up, she has to go back and save Andy. I didn't really feel it. I was like, it's nowhere near as much weight as Ripley going to save Newt. But anyway, she sends the pregnant girl injured back up to the cargo ship, and she goes down. When the pregnant girl gets back to the cargo ship, she decides to inject her with the thing. I wasn't fully convinced or on board with her deciding to do that. Maybe if they tried to convey that she's about to die, and she heard that this thing could heal her, and it's her last. It felt like she was just a bit, hurt, and she decides to do it anyway. I think they could have sold that decision a bit better. that kind of just is left, right? She injects herself, and all the things play out with the gravity purges, shooting the aliens when they're not affected by gravity, then having to sneak through the acid. And there's a pretty good suspenseful scene in the elevator shaft. Though I wonder, actually. I remember enjoying it, but I'm trying to decide if the events play out logically, because there's one part where I was like, huh? Gravity purge happens, she starts to fall in the elevator shaft. And a xenomorph catches her, saving her life. And I was like, huh? Wouldn't the xenomorph usually just stab her and kill her straight out? Because he catches her with the tail. And I was just like, okay, that's a little out of character for the xenomorphs. And then the xenomorph starts to kind of hold her, and the reason what the film tries to give is that an alien bug is crawling around. So the xenomorph is capturing her for her to be impregnated, whatever, with the face sucker. And so that is what the film is trying to say. I guess I can accept that. The xenomorphs do capture people somewhat alive to be impregnated, so that's what I was attempting to do. But just before the face sucker can get there, Andy, the good synthetic, he grabs the gun that she lost while she was trying to tangle with the zero gravity and elevator and stuff, shoots the face sucker bug and helps her get free from the xenomorph, and they climb back up. And so there's actually, I think, some sequences that are all right in terms of the suspense and the action. Now, when they get back on the ship, there's, of course, some drama about them escaping the ship and getting free, and the bad synthetic guy is trying to stop them. But okay, so they deal with some of the aliens, they get free, and main character puts the pregnant one in cryosleep. But this is where the injection thing starts to play out. And turns out, I guess all the ooze stuff went into her womb, making the baby grow at an exponential rate, and she gives birth to like an alien pod thing that the main character tries to get rid of, but it starts to burn her hands. She drops it, melts through into the cargo container, and the baby escapes, and then in like 20 to 30 seconds, it's full grown or something like that. I was like, whoa, that was fast. Okay, sure, whatever. And it is ugly looking, this thing. Really messed up. That's what they were going for. Now she has to deal with a unique, freaky-looking human alien freak thing. This thing goes back to its mother. There's this weird thing about is she lactating or not, and does the alien want some of the milk? But anyway, the alien kills her, and it looks like he's feasting on her like a vampire or something else maybe. It's all right. And then there is a whole sequence of the main character trying to defeat it by first cryo, freezy thing, gun thing, and then ejecting it in the cargo container and stuff. And so it's interesting how many beats there are calling back to other alien films, like in the first one where, you think it's all done, she's on the escape ship, but oh no, there's an alien there! And so they, when they escape in the cargo container, are they all done? But oh no, birth to freaky alien, and it's another alien hybrid thing like we saw in Alien 4. And so they do seem to be copying certain things, which makes it feel rather generic. And I wonder if it's just because they don't have the confidence to really step out. So, well, I guess they've tried to do that with the Prometheus movies and they didn't do too well. So it's like they're going back to a tried and true formula. And if you're a fan of that stuff, you probably will enjoy the film a decent amount. I just found it a little too predictable and formulaic. And the characters I didn't really get into. And I still think, if the pregnant girl got the superpowers and fighting the aliens, that would have been a much cooler movie. I would have liked that. So overall, I think I'm sitting on about a 6 out of 10 for Alien Romulus. And if you're a big fan of the series, sure, you probably could enjoy it. There's nothing, like I said, greatly offensively bad about it. There's some questions, some weird odd things here and there, but I think you could enjoy it. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Alien Romulus. If you have seen it, let me know in the comments. Do you intend to see it? What are your thoughts? Looking forward to read those comments. And as always, stay on watch.